so back to what you were saying about Ryan Fisher. So he spends $100,000 in ads per month, but makes like $3 million a month.
Yeah, so he's like, well, he's really good friends with Alex Hormozy.
Oh, okay.
So him and Alex are like you'll see them like working out together, like travel together and stuff.
Yeah.
So like he's got like first hand to like mega guy that's like, you know, been in the ad industry forever.
I wonder if Hormozy owns a piece of his company. You don't think?
No. I think just getting advice.
Man, that'd be $3 million a month.
It's insane. Well, did you see his new Bronco?
No. Is it decked out?
Oh, sick. Retro old Bronco.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And
he had a G-Wagon.
He still has it.
He does? Okay.
No.
The day I get to roll up to my gym in a G-Wagon.
Then everybody will quit your gym.
Yeah, well, then they'll be like, oh, you make too much money. Yeah, I know that. That's why I felt bad putting new wheels on my truck. Because I was like, okay, I've been wanting these for a while, and this a little reward to myself. And I'm like, I make money elsewhere.
Dude, it's insane.
But
people think gym owners should be broke.
Yeah, which blows me away.
Yeah.
It's like, if you have a good culture, a good gym, why shouldn't you make money?
Yeah, I don't know. It's nuts.
Isn't that okay? Capitalism. Yeah. Yeah, I don't understand it. That's where I get, like, I like to send referral gifts or thank you gifts to big clients and whatnot for my insurance business. But it's like, then I got to think, like, I can send a $5 Starbucks card, but if I start sending $10 cards, it's like,
never know.
You're charging me too much for my premium.
Go get Frappuccino.
Exactly. Man. So, guys, we have with us today Blake Ruff. Blake was a previous gym owner, has a marketing company now, which helps us actually and does all of our paid ads for us. And what else do you do?
Yeah, that's it.
That's it? That's the primary stuff right now? Yeah. So, Blake, why don't you just tell us a little bit about who you are? Who's Blake Ruff?
For sure, man. First and foremost, thanks for having me on. So I've owned 2 CrossFit gyms.
What are their names?
So I owned CrossFit Dash and CrossFit Dash Northeast. One was CrossFit Castlewood before, and then I rebranded it. Before that, I've always been in personal training since I was like 15 years old. So I always thought I wanted to be in the fitness industry. Grew a successful personal training business. Then I decided, hey, let's open a gym. And did that, like, super small. Started out like 1,200 square feet with, like, wood floors. Couldn't drop the weights. Very interesting. Then branched off to 2 5,000 square foot buildings. Went well. Then just after COVID, I mean, like any other business, right? COVID is just hard on anybody. Yeah. But I realized for me at the time when just had kiddos that it didn't fit my lifestyle anymore. Like gym owners that they're from, like, people don't realize you're there from 5 a.m. to like 7:30 p.m. sometimes, right? And just not really my passion kind of changed a little bit. I still love fitness. But gym ownership is hard. Like I mean, I've told you and I've told some other friends that open gyms, like it is probably one of the most competitive markets and the easiest to get into. Like you don't have to raise a lot of capital to go start a gym. Right. Like buy $1,000, Rogue, rig and then some couple weights and you got a gym basically and find the space. So you're competing against a lot of people that are the F45s, the Orange Theories, like a lot of people that just have investors. Yeah, and millions of dollars behind them. It's a tough market to be into. So during my ownership of the gym, so I sold them right after COVID and was really lucky and fortunate to get out of the gym space. But then during that time too, I was still I was a business mentor through a really big gym company that did mentorship. And grew a passion for just like helping people with business. Yeah. I've had business mentors. A lot of my personal training clients are very, influential people in Indianapolis. So just really got a lot of advice from them. And then
which company is that?
Two Brain Business.
Okay,
I worked for before.
Gotcha.
I can say that now. So
yeah,
it's been long enough. So then. I was the first mentor on the marketing side, other than the people that own the company when it came to marketing for gyms. So they started out the marketing branch because they realized, like, hey, like there's all these other business, like F45s, Spangas, all these other things that are open up. These people need more leads. They need more people walking in their door. Like, it's not the old days of like Field of Dreams, build it and they'll come, right? Like that's long gone, right? Like I told you a couple weeks ago, like the people that only see your post are the people that follow you.
Yeah.
Outside of that, they'll never see it. Unless
Well, and generally, a gym like ours isn't going to be. You're not going to see it from the highway. You're not going to see it from the main road. There's no retail frontage, right?
Yeah.
It's in a warehouse a lot of times.
And compared to like, the Orange Theories and F45s that find pretty commercial spaces, a lot of boutique style gyms are more industrial spaces, things like that. So, got into marketing with this company, was the first marketing mentor on that side, just really like dived in. I was like, man, I really got a big interest into just dynamics of marketing, how it, influenced people. And it could be used for very bad things as well, right? Like outside of gym space, like, presidential elections, like are basically won and lost on good marketing, right? Like Make America Great Again was the best marketing slogan ever, right? But figuring out, and then got into Story Brand, which Story Brand, to make it very simple, is just making sure your words are super clear that a lot of gyms still to this day want to talk about themselves, right? Like we have all these L3, L4 coaches, and like to the potential clients, like they don't care.
They don't know what it even means.
Well, they don't even know what it means, right?
Arguably, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And so, figuring out what are the top 3 things that your clients are saying they need a problem to solve. What is that problem? How do you solve it? And then how do you communicate it to them, right? Like it's, don't be cute, be clear is like what we always say.
Ooh,
right?
I like that. Yeah.
Super clear message. Don't talk over your potential leads or clients because if you talk over them, like you sound smart and eloquent, but if they don't understand what you're saying, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, then you can just sound arrogant and
if you're going into like metabolic pathways and like anaerobic, glycolytic, and they're like, dude, I just need to lose 20 pounds and look better with my shirt off, right? Like that's it. Like I don't care. Like just tell me how the workout's gonna make me look like that, right? So got into marketing, got into like messaging, copywriting, and just really went with it, and it's just grown. I think we've had the company for 3 or 4 years now. So it's just really grown. Not only do we help just CrossFit gyms, we have boot camp style gyms. We just branched off to like Krav Maga gyms. We got a couple.
Yeah.
And so it's gone to just kind of we just got another type. I forget what other gym we just started working with. But yeah, so it's kind of just any boutique service based business.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is like, the formula still works for all styles of, doesn't matter if you're Krav Maga, CrossFit, personal training. It's the same formula. What is the client's problem? For Krav Maga, it might be like their best ad creative are guys that like are really big into like video games that want to be like superheroes.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
And so, but we talk through it like, hey, what are the people saying when they like, the best way to figure out your messaging as any company, what are, like, I think I might have told you this, is list out your 10 favorite clients and then list out your your favorite 10 the 10 high paying clients. Like list those 2 out. What are the cross references? Who are those that cross reference on those? Because your favorite client, one of them might just be paying like absolute lowest because they've been there forever, right? But they're great people, no problem with that. But who mesh across those? Talk to those people about like, why did you come to us?
Right.
What words do they use? And then you want to use those same words. Like, a lot of owners, business owners, when we write copy, they might not like it, but it doesn't matter what they like.
Yeah.
Because it's what the people respond to, right? So if you're putting out there, we have the best high-tech gym in the area, and we do blah, 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 and we have all these certifications, they don't care. But if you say, hey, we can help you lose 20 pounds, make you feel better, be able to keep up with your kids, and this is how we're going to do it, and here's a testimony from Sue and Bob, and looks just like them, then they're like, oh man, they can solve my problem. Right? It doesn't matter. It can be lawn care, for example, right? Well, does your lawn look like this? Are you having trouble, making it out to mow your lawn because you're busy with the kids and all these things? We come do it hassle-free. You don't even have to be home, and we'll come do it twice a week on a scheduled time that works for you.
Yeah.
Right?
Problem solved.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter what business you own. You have to figure out the customer's problem, and then what is the transformation from how do they feel from day one to the end result.
One of the coaches you haven't been working with, Rob, yeah. He talks about that, like when we're doing the discovery calls, right? And coaching me on the discovery calls. And one of the questions we ask is, how are you gonna feel in 6 months? If you have all the tools and everything you need, we start today, what does this do for your life 6 months from now? And that's a great question to ask. Like people, I haven't thought about that. Well, a lot of times it's more confidence. I feel better. I look better. Whatever it may be. And so you're kind of preconceiving that goal, that end goal, right?
Yeah, and you have to put it out there for them too, right? Like, because they'll end up selling themselves, right? Like, what is this going to do for your life? Like,
right.
When I had my gyms and I would sit down with people, and I just did like a video on this today, is my first thing was always try to connect with people, common ground, right? Like break the ice. It's intimidating to walk into a gym for people, right?
Especially a gym like the one we have, right?
Like where they walk in and everything looks super intimidating, especially if they walk in while somebody's like a group is working out. Oh my gosh, I can never do this. Like I was just reading a book and a guy was like, I walked in, these are the fittest people I've ever seen in my life, and I was scared to death, right? Like, and that's still today, that book was written like a couple months ago, right? So that it's still the same intimidation. So figuring out that common ground, but really the main thing is like, it's not you talking to them about like your program. It's like, why are you here? Like, what do you want to achieve? And it's not the blanketed like 20 pounds or like, I just want to look better. Like, what is the emotional attachment to that? Right. And if you can always dig to an emotional attachment and to whatever it may be, and like some businesses like lawn care, that might be, there's not really emotional attachment. Or do you want to have like, marketing for that? If I did marketing, are you tired of having the worst lawn in your neighborhood? Yeah. Like, does everybody make fun of you while you walk by on your like on your community page? Yeah. And you're pictured? Like, we can help, right? Like, that's a great marketing for that. But like in a gym business, figuring out like what's somebody's why. And like, the whole Simon Sinek thing, get to the why, but and then mapping it out for them and then making them feel that you have the solution. If you walk into like the Orange Theories and F45s, it's like, just join the class. If you're in a boutique style gym, you have a very strong strategic advantage that you can sit down with people and then map out what their solution looks like and be like, hey, this is how we're going to help you. Here's how we're going to do it. Yeah. But I need a commitment from you, and it's going to be a process. Yeah. Right? Like, it's not going to happen overnight if somebody comes in with, like, 50% body fat. Right. This is a 2-year thing. Yeah. And I said this today, is, like, you didn't get to this point overnight. It's not going to happen overnight. Right. Right? Like, it's a journey, and we have to make sure, like, we're not a sprint, we're a marathon. Yeah. Right? So. Well,
and it's trying to build a new lifestyle. Yep. Right? Like, fitness is not just lose weight now. Because how many people gain that shit back, right? Yeah. It's changing the lifestyle and the habits that, well, not even changing them, because you can't really change habits, right? You can only replace bad habits with good habits. And that's what we're trying to do through what we do. And then that's what gets the long-term results. Yeah. Then when they're coming in 2 years from now, still members, lost all this weight, feel good, look good, all that, that's when you've got a solid following of people. Yeah. I think one thing that's really cool about our culture is we have everybody from the competitive athletes down to, we've got a retired firefighter who's 70 years old in here who barely could move when he came in. And now he's able to move better. He's more functional. He's like, man, I'm sore all the time. But he's like, I can get in and out of my tractor a lot easier now. It's like, that's exactly what we want to hear. But he's training right next to the competitive athlete. Or the guy that we got training for the tactical games, things like that. That's a unique culture to have, because generally, from what we've seen, and I'd be curious to hear your experience with this, is you have competitive athletes, a lot of which can be very intense, kind of assholes. Yes. And sometimes it's like, why are you being so uptight about 2 seconds on your WOD, right? You'll be fine, in a competition, and then they are yelling at people, get out of the way. Not, taking their equipment, stuff like that. They act like they own the gym. Yeah. Basically. And, I what I think is so cool here is we have our athletes who are what, most people look up to and what they want to achieve. And then you've got the guys that are just in here to stay healthy. And it's humbling for the athletes. It's a good mix of people. Yeah. So what was your experience of that?
Yeah, I mean, competitive athletes are very hard, and I was just thinking about what you're talking about this. Yeah. If I ever started a gym again, which I'm not going to do, I would call it the transformation gym. And all I would have is people that just want a transformation, and I would just have story after testimony after testimony after testimony, right? Mm-hmm. Because I was just working with a gym, and they were getting a bunch of 40-year-olds that were like pretty out of shape, right? And like, he's like, everybody that's coming to me is like, very out of shape, and like just this is very beginner for them. I'm like, great.
those are the people you want.
Yeah. He's like, no, I want really fit athletes. And I was like, dude, that's probably not the best recipe.
Yeah.
Competitive athletes are hard. They always care too much about your programming. They want to have a say in everything that goes on in the gym. And so, like, I really liked, especially, like, when I had my Zionsville location, it was a great area, that just have, like, the mom, dad that just wanted to come in, work out for an hour, and go home, right?
Yep.
Like, happy, didn't complain. But, yeah, like, I think when I first opened my gym, super competitive people. That was super young atmosphere. Was great for a while, but it's one of those that, like, if one pulls away, they all, like, it's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
And whereas, like, if you get older people, they're just more professional. I'm not saying, like, those people aren't professional, but, like, just professional career, have kids, kind of just older stage of life, where they just look at, like, fitness as, I just want to live longer.
It's part of their day.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
And I just need to do this because it's important for my health and my well-being. Not so much that I'm trying to PR every time I walk in the gym. Those are the type of people I want in my gym, right? And so, so I kind of went through all areas of it, like super competitive, and then a guy that is one of our coaches for Business Lasso, he used to have a team that went to the game at Friendship Fitness, and then the next year he kicked them all out and changed.
He kicked them out
because they were just like, they were jerks to everybody.
Yeah,
they acted like they owned the place. They wouldn't let, and I know there's gyms in town like that. I've heard that, right? That like, oh, our competitive athletes get first say anything. Like, they don't pay any more than somebody else.
And a lot of times they don't pay even what everybody else is paying, right? Like there was a coach I trained under for years when I was in mixed martial arts, and I was one of his fighters, and my rate was a third of what other members would pay, right? Yeah. And then there were times where he's like, don't worry about it, because I was competing, right? Yeah. And he got away from that completely. He basically is like, I'm done training fighters. They're wishy-washy. They are emotional. They'll show up and then not show up, and then it's like, he's like, I'm chasing people down, trying to set them up with fights and do all this, and putting my heart and soul into this and not getting paid. It's like, yeah, no.
Oh, and actually, competitive athletes are probably going to take up more of the gym time, and they need more weights. They need all this stuff. They're actually probably paying more than anybody else because they're spending more time in the gym.
Yeah, they should be paying more. Yeah. Well, and that's one thing we look at is there's a standard, right? Like even the competitive athletes pay a membership, right? And I think that's a good way of keeping the playing field even, right?
Yeah. So, going back to just the marketing angle of everything, it's just, the main thing that I focus on now, and Facebook is ever changing. Like every day I get on, it's like something different. And a lot of business owners, they think they can get into Facebook and figure it out. And they might they might have a one-hit wonder that the way to look at it too, if you ever run your own Facebook marketing, is you have to test 10 different things.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And so the thing that you want to think about is people turn stuff off way too early, first off. They're like, I spent $30 and nothing came in.
Right.
Well, I heard it said very well that you want to spend, say you're running 10 different ones, on one ad, you should spend what the income would be, the revenue of one new client signing up for that first month. So say you get $200 off of revenue, right? So that would be basically, if you had 10 campaigns running, that's $2,000 that you have to spend. You might have one that hits, or you might have zero. The great thing about what we do is we work with so many different businesses, we already know what works from day one, right?
Yeah.
So the testing's out the window. It's just which one do you want to run, right? So creating different offers. Another thing for businesses is offers. And when we say offers, we never really mean discounts ever. It's actually the complete opposite. We usually tell people you need to raise your rates. Yeah. You need to package things together. So then that could be anything for gyms. It could be, like we mentioned, I don't know, I saw some guy doing power washing. It could be power washing plus something else, right? These combined, it usually be $300, but today I'm going to do it for $250.
Yeah.
Right? And maybe you give $50 off, but it would cost you more to go to 2 different appointments to do that.
Right.
Right? So figuring out and just working with people on where their target audience is. So the number one thing in marketing is you got to know who the people you want in your business and your gym, things like that, right?
Yeah.
Is it 40 to 50 year olds? Is it 30 to 40 year olds? Is it 20 year olds, which I don't recommend?
Very temperamental.
Yeah, and they just move,
Right.
And financial situations go up and down. Who's your target audience? Where do they live geographically? And then on top of it, like, what is the problem for each one of those groups? And then creating content and marketing around that, and then figuring out from that marketing, all right, this is what, so like I mentioned that Krav Maga, like superhero is a really big thing for them.
Yeah.
Hey, in your organic marketing, this is what's resonating to the area. So like talk about this stuff more, right? And I think one thing that a lot of businesses do wrong on their organic side is they're always trying to sell on the organic side. So I read a book called Superfans by Pat Flynn. And I love the book, but the whole concept was you want to become your followers' biggest fans.
Yeah, that
Because
makes
those
sense.
are those are the only people that follow you,
Yeah.
right? Like people think like 10,000 people are going to see my post. Well,
Right.
no, they're not. It's
No.
going to be the 1,000 that follow you, and that's it, right? But if you tell such a great story about Betty that's lost 30 pounds and her story of when she came in, how she felt, how she feels now, and all she's accomplished,
Yeah.
she's going to share that on her own social media, right? Which then you reach all Betty's friends and her own ecosystem. And then they say, oh my gosh, Betty, you've lost 20 pounds. Tell me more.
Yeah.
Right?
Where did you do this? How
Exactly.
Did you do this? Yeah.
Then that helps the referral business, right? So just telling great stories, and to tell a great story organically, it's very simple. Like, what did life look like before you started? What does life look like now that you've achieved the results? And what would you tell other people in the same situation as me?
Yeah.
Right? Like, just answer those 3 questions, and then she's going to be like, before I started, I was frustrated. I hated the way I looked in the mirror. Every day, I just didn't feel confident about myself. I joined this gym. Yes, it was hard, but they led me every step of the way. The community was great. Everybody encouraged me. And now I've lost 20 pounds. I fit into clothes I've never fit in before.
Right.
I look my best. People are complimenting me at holiday functions and groups. And I would tell anybody that's looking, you have to come here because they've helped me and they can help you too. She sells it for you.
Yeah.
Right? And so what you want to do in that is, like, your organic marketing is just highlighting people in your gym over and over, right? And you want to give some valuable content away. Like, I always go with like Gary V's hook jab. So like value, then like a sales pitch,
Right.
a little bit, right? So always be giving more than trying to, like, if every one of your posts is like sign up now, book a call, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
People just think that you're like, nah,
Trying to sell them.
yeah, you're just trying to sell people all the time.
Which people don't like to be sold anymore.
No.
And that's where marketing has such a place nowadays, is if you know how to tell the story right, then people want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, why do you buy the brands you buy?
Yeah.
You know, like, I buy 10,000 because it's outdoorsy, it's rugged, it's durable stuff, and it's simple.
Yeah.
It's basic, and that's what I like, right? So they tell a story, and I'm like, oh, cool, that resonates with me. And then because of that, I end up buying the product.
Yeah. And I'd say, like, people, if you write marketing correctly, it becomes more of like, it looks like you're helping than selling.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we have the solution. You've been frustrated by doing it. You've joined F45 Orange Theory. You're tired of jumping on the cardio all the time. It's because you're not doing strength training. But we can teach you, we know it's intimidating. Empathy, huge, right? Using empathy. We know that it can be intimidating, but we know that you need it, and you know you need it.
Right.
Right? We can help you and guide you. Right?
And so far, that has been the best ad that we've run, I think.
Yeah, it's across, and
Yeah.
I think I was just telling somebody yesterday, I think, if we think back 2 years, or even just, right before COVID, we always heard, like, a lot of females say, if I lift, will I get bulky? Right? Like, that was, like, the big thing. But, like, that hasn't been said for a long time.
Yeah.
Right? Like, women are special. Like, guys always want to look big, right?
Right.
But women have really come around to know that, like, hey, I need to be working out. I need to be lifting weights because it's going to really benefit me.
Yeah.
And they're just getting bored of, like, the cardio-esque
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it leads to a skinny fat look,
Yeah.
right? Like, and women are realizing that's not what I want.
No,
I want to have a decent stature
Yeah.
to where it's. I mean, and realistically, going back to longevity, muscle mass is needed for that, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to not have to worry about falling down the stairs at 70 years old, you should probably have some muscle to help control joints, ligaments, all that fun stuff.
Yeah,
right?
or even if you're a marathon runner and you need to be lifting weights because 50% of people are going to put hip and knee or back pain, right? So like
Exactly.
if you love running, which is great, I don't, but if you do love running, hey, you need to be doing some strength training to like build up around those knees, build up around those hips, do some squats. Like, will it slow you down? Maybe a little bit, but you're going to be able to do it a lot longer, right? And so, you know, it's just, it's interesting the dynamic that has like, you know, marketing and the gym industry, like it goes, like it used to be like the 6-week bait and switch, you know, model. It's like, it's come join us for you 6 weeks, and they come in and it's like, hey, it's $500. It worked for people,
Right.
But then marketing got a really bad name, especially to gyms, and then 6 week was so overdone, thanks to Alex, which he's a brilliant mastermind.
Yeah.
Then it's really come to like, hey, we're going around to like this strength era, especially for boutique gyms and PT gyms, that it's more like, hey, you need this, we can help kind of thing, right? And so, and the other thing for businesses to realize, the big thing they don't realize, and I always use like Super Bowl commercials, right? So Coke puts a Super Bowl commercial out, right? Like measuring your marketing isn't always black and white.
Yeah.
So what you want to do before you start marketing is how many leads. I mean, I don't really care, to be honest. I don't care how many leads you get. I care how many signups and how many new clients.
Right.
You
At
get.
the end of the day, that's what matters.
Yeah, revenue, right? I could get you 1,000 leads if I put free everywhere.
Right.
That doesn't help anybody, right?
But the kind of leads you get from that are not.
Yeah, they're going to be looking for free. That's why we
Exactly.
don't say free trial. That's why we get away from all that stuff, because they know the class is going on with or without you.
Right.
But the thing you want to do is go through like prior 4 to 6 months of what you did without marketing, how many new clients, what was the average new revenue from that, and then start marketing and then tally up everything. It doesn't matter if it comes from your website, it doesn't matter if it comes from Facebook, it all goes into one, because truly the best lead, and like I just bought like an ice barrel, right? Like it hasn't come like 2
Those are
months
pretty
ago.
cool. Yeah.
But I looked at that and like cold
Right.
plunge. Like I saw an ad for both. I never bought either one off an ad. I went and researched for months.
You went to their website.
Exactly,
yeah.
right? And so they're going to go through different streams if they're going to like take the next step to like, I want to do more research on this. So what I'm saying is like when you start marketing is you want to combine, like if you were getting 10 website leads before, you start marketing and now you're getting 30, something happened.
Something's
right.
yeah.
So just like Coke in the Super Bowl commercial, they don't say, well, how many people came on off the Super Bowl ad last week into Meyer and bought Coke? No, they say, were our sales revenue up? What was the net revenue that it was up? And we attributed that to running commercials and running ads.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what you need to do is like, are we making more money than we did before?
Right.
And especially when people, it's not even black and white of like month to month either, because somebody joins your gym, say 5 people join your gym for $200, but they usually stay for 6 months. Well, that's $1,000. That's actually $6,000 that you made, because they're going to stay for 6 months. And granted, they probably stay a lot longer, but you know, LTV, lifetime value of that is $6,000,
months, yeah.
right? So, and then that's the main thing. A lot of people get misled is like you have one bad marketing month. It happens, right? Like. For gyms, honestly, December and January are the hardest months.
Right.
And it sounds like the greatest months, right? But like when you have Planet Fitness, because I know like the F40, I had a buddy open an F45, they got to spend $150 a day on ads, right? And so we just signed up a franchise personal training company that had to spend $7,000 a month on ads.
Wow.
$28,000 over 4 months. And so
What did they bring in off of that?
they were getting $50 leads, which is very expensive.
Yeah.
So I've already got them down to 25. So
Okay.
I was like, look, I can have you spend half the amount and get you the same amount of leads and probably better quality.
Gosh.
And so, but going back to like New Year's in January is when if you're in a competitive market like Indianapolis, Chicago, things like that, you're going to have like Planet Fitness is running 1 cent for 1 year, right? Like ridiculous stuff. And they're going to be spending a ton of money because they can. So there's a thing called frequency on Facebook that's basically how many times you see an ad, right? So what I like to do is I usually change ads, especially if they're not working, if people have seen it 8 times. Because studies have shown, and this is interesting too, that it takes 8 times before somebody buys something. So if somebody comes in as a lead on day 1, it usually is going to take 8 to 10 touch points before they're going to make a buying decision, right? Kind of goes back to the cold plunge thing. It probably took me about 10 to 15 times before I pulled the trigger on something, right? But I did my research, and so it's that constant communication.
Well, it's that keeping it at the top of mind.
Yeah.
Because then when you're putting it in your mind, oh man, maybe I should start researching these, and then see it again. Oh shit, yeah, I need to research these. Okay, now I'm researching, and then it's just that constant feedback of, oh, I'm looking for a cold plunge. Because there's been times where I've been looking at a product, and I'm like, man, I haven't seen an ad. Shit, I can't remember what was the name of that product.
Oh, yeah.
But then another ad pops up, and I'm like, I'm gonna look at that one.
And creepy how that happens, right?
Right. Good old AI
Siri and everybody. Yeah, man, this stuff's nuts. I mean, I've been talking. It was the weirdest thing. I was on with Rob actually, and his coach was behind him.
Okay.
And then the next day, the coach that was behind him became as like a friend you might know.
Oh wow.
I was like, that's creepy.
That is creepy.
Yeah. And I was like, I've never had any contact with this person. Yeah, anything might be important to some people. So a way to write copy a lot of times is acronym like PASTOR. Like P is for problem.
Okay.
Then you want to amplify the problem A. Then you want to tell a story. Then you want to give a testimony. Then you have to do an offer, tell them what the offer is, and then what to do for a response. So if I'm writing copy, like we're writing for to do affiliate summits for CrossFit.
Yeah.
Right? Like to go speak at them for Lasso. We know that most gyms have a really hard time in such a competitive market generating leads and growing the revenue because there's such big players in the market that are outspending them.
Yeah.
That's the problem, right? Amplify it. So because of this, a lot of gyms are closing down and they're getting super frustrated and they're going to bad marketers and losing tons of money because they're not having a solution put in front of them that's going to help them win and succeed. Then I go into a story. Here's 5 different gym owners that have doubled their revenue in the last 3 to 12 months, right? Then here's a page you can go to our testimonies. Here's our offer. We would love to come to the summits and give free marketing advice that they can use on their websites, social media, and when the people come in the door, they stop talking about themselves and start talking about they know the problem of the client, right? And then response, just obviously let us know. In that instance, response in an ad would be click on the offer, click on this, right?
Yeah.
So if you write in that format, it's I forget who wrote the book, but it will help you very easily get good copy. And you can use that for testimonies of people in the gym and things like that.
Yeah, no, that's solid advice there. So that leads me to a good question here. For new gym owners, new business owners, whatever, what would be a piece of advice that you would give to them?
Other than don't open a gym? No, I'm just kidding. To know your clientele you're going after day one, right? To know what you're doing when, don't just open a gym like most 99% of people, including myself, open a gym I'm just opening a gym for everybody. I saw the guy that I sent you his info. There's somebody that opened a gym for 50-year-olds and that's it, and older.
Oh, that's cool.
And they were, how many places have you ever seen for a gym just 50 plus?
Yeah.
Right? We transform, they know their niche.
Yeah.
Or we have 3 ladies only gyms now. So you talk, that's a great niche.
Yeah.
Right? And so knowing who you're for from day one. And that's huge because then you're not trying to figure it out over the next year and a half.
Yeah.
Right? Who are we serving? Who do we want in our gym? Who's our best clients? Know from day one. Like I said, the transformation gym. I'd go after people that are heavily overweight, that have tried everything, that every nutrition program, all this stuff online, but haven't stepped foot in the gym because they're intimidated.
Yeah.
Right? And I'd offer personal training at very high packages.
Yeah.
And then every one of my stories, if it's a transformation gym, would just be testimony, video, right? And before and after shots, right? Or if it doesn't matter what it is, but know who your audience is, and then start marketing before you open. So Orange Theory, they do really things that you don't imagine.
Yeah.
Those orange bikes they put around downtown. is specifically because they want you to be thinking of orange and correlating it to Orange Theory.
Oh, that's funny.
So little things that a lot of these companies will do. Mad Lab is really like it's becoming not Mad Lab, Metabolic. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's like there's a lot of them, but they're doing great things, and like their marketing, they're cool aesthetics. Like they have the lighting, the graphics, just like a younger hip audience.
Yeah, cool.
But they know their audience, right? You can't be for everybody, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. But it's just knowing who you're for, and that way you can be specific in your targeting and marketing.
Right. Well, and you have to have gosh, my brain is not working today. An abundance mindset for that, right? You can't be worried about getting the next thing because somebody else is going to take it from you, right? Yeah,
and just having the proper things set up, like website, people don't realize how, like, this day and age, man, if your website isn't solid, people just click on past you.
Yeah.
Like, it's called above the fold. So people have, well, it's probably less now. Like 2 years ago, I read people have the attention span of a goldfish, which is like 0.5 seconds or something crazy, like 3 seconds.
Thank you, technology.
Yeah, they're going to look at, basically, they're never going to scroll past what they see when they pull up your website.
Yeah.
Like, so whatever it says in the top has to include the problem you solve, like what's about your gym. So like, say Legacy Athletics, we help people get in the best shape of their life, no matter where you're starting. We're the best gym located in Westfield. Click here to, like, it has to have a call to action too. Like, one thing people don't do, and it just amazes me, they don't tell people what to do.
Yeah.
Like, it's just their website. It's like, well, how do I get started? Where do I go?
Yeah.
What do I click, right? It's got to be, like, it sounds annoying, but it's got to be on every section.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to have to scroll to find it again.
Well, and that Story Brand website we set up,
Yep.
that thing is incredible. And it looks, I look at things and I go, okay, does this look premium? Because that's the vision we have. That's the clientele we're going after, And you look at some other gyms in the area, or just in Indianapolis in general, right? Like the website doesn't look on par with the quality of training that they can provide.
Yeah, so I mean, you take two websites. Say your website was very low, and then the other gym was a very high website, a very professional website. They could have the crappiest service and then just god-awful gym.
But they're still going to have more.
They're going to get more people to come in the gym because people went to your website and they're like, oh man, this isn't good. Like, this looks like done in like 1980 or whatever. And I think another piece of advice is, like, when you're writing marketing and doing marketing, don't make people burn calories trying to consume your marketing and your words.
Yeah.
Right? Make it, like I read the other day, that people read on a 7th grade level.
Oh gosh.
So if you, like, that's what they want to read at. So
You got to make it clear and simple.
So if I'm looking at your website and I'm having to think about it and like what you're trying to say, I don't want, like, don't make it hard for me to understand. Like what we talked about earlier, right? Like, don't talk over people. And so, like, especially for fitness owners and gym owners, like, if you're making people work hard just to, like, understand what you're saying, like, you're missing the boat completely. It's got to be clear and concise.
Yeah. Well, that's your profession, right? And so we get in our own heads sometimes about being too detailed or explaining in too in-depth, and most people don't care. They're just, give me the result.
Exactly.
Yeah. Give me the basics. Give me the result.
If they cared so much, they probably would have opened their own gym.
Exactly.
Or doing it on their own, right? And so, that's the big thing is, like, and you don't want those people in your gym.
Right.
Like, well, tell me why this is programmed the way it is. Why are we doing thrusters again for the second time this week?
You gotta explain everything.
Whatever it may be, right? And it's like, don't worry about it. Just show up and work out. Like, just do the stuff and you'll get the result, right? Like, that's the people you want in your gym, in your business, and, like, really anything, right? Is those people that are always just, like, hounding you for answers and questions. It's like, it burns tons of calories as a gym owner and the business owner. It's like, man, we get on calls with gym owners, and if they think they know more than us from day one, like,
probably
we won't even sign up. We won't even try to sell them.
Yeah.
Because we know they're going to take away from our other clients. That's the best way to put it, is, like, somebody like that, it's like, that 10% of, like, I heard it best, like, you can only service, like, 90% of people and keep them happy. There's going to be 10% you can never make happy no matter what.
Yeah.
Right?
And you
so
just
don't worry about
that.
the 10%.
Yeah.
Because if you let the 10% in, then the 90% end up not getting a great service because you're always worrying about these people and they're always emailing you, texting you, and, like, blowing up your phone all the time. Right? Those are the people you want.
Well, it's okay to fire a client. I've had to do that before in other businesses, and the best clients are the ones who let you be the professional.
Yeah.
Right. Like those are the clients that you hired me. Let me do my job so you can do yours.
Yeah. And I think it goes back to like knowing who you're for. Like if you come in, you're like, hey, we're not a competitive gym. We're for the average Joe and whoever it may be that haven't done CrossFit before. So if you're looking to squat 600 pounds, like great, just not for us.
Yeah.
Right. And so that you don't have to deal with those as much. Right.
Right.
And so I think, for new business owners, it's always just have your marketing set up properly, have funnels, and for heaven's sake, have a CRM. Like if you're not there's so many business owners that like don't have a way of nurturing leads.
Yeah.
They just get in the pipeline and then they say like, oh, they weren't a good lead. They didn't sign up day one. It's like, no, they need to think about it.
Yeah.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with that.
That's okay.
I honestly, when I had my gyms, I would prefer somebody stay on my emails for 3 months and then sign up when they were actually ready than me sell them day one. Because I would sell them day one. They would quit a month later because they weren't really ready mentally.
Right.
Right. And so I would rather somebody get my emails, consume my content, and then be like, all right. Like I heard all the time from my website, like your website just spoke to me and I knew this was the place for me.
Yeah.
Right.
That's cool.
And so that's what you want people saying. And so if you're getting people in and they aren't saying like your website was just so clear and like it sounded like you were talking to me.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's what you want, and then that's when you know I have it dialed in.
Shout out to Push Press, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Do a
so
great
like
job.
people with ads, right? Like I just keep seeing your ads and I know I gotta come in there. Like that's what I heard.
I've heard that a couple of times now. People just keep seeing them, and that's what we want.
Yeah.
I'm like, good, something's working.
Yeah. And so like, going back to like it takes, so like you have to wait for performance to happen with ads because it takes a while. And the best ones are the ones that are going to see it 10 times and come in later.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the person like eating Doritos at night to see it on the first time, click it, and then like don't show up.
Right.
Because they were just feeling painful about themselves at that moment, right? It's that person that's like, oh man, I keep seeing this. I need to do something. I know I need to do something. That then they come in later.
Well, that's the tough thing about selling gym memberships, right? Is people have to come in when they're ready.
Yep.
If you sell them, many times they quit. Well, Blake, where can people find out more about you?
Yeah.
About your companies, all that.
So we're on. If anybody ever wants to book a call, you can go to Lasso, LASSO. It stands for Lead and Sales System Optimization.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
A lot of people are like,
Fancy.
it makes sense, Lasso, right?
Yeah, it does,
Leads and stuff. So lassoframework.com, you can just book a free call. We help anybody just on a quick call, just see if we're a good fit. We don't really sell anybody. If you're a great fit, yes, we're going to sell you. We're going to sign you up. But if you're not, then we'll let you know, like, hey, it's probably not a good fit for your time. Going on that mark of why marketing is not a good fit for you, which is something we didn't talk about. But if you don't have systems in your business and like you don't have proper way of nurturing leads and you don't have a sales process and you're like a one-man show, marketing's gonna be really hard for you. And because if you say like, or retention, if you have a really bad retention problem, it's just like a bucket. You got a bunch of holes in it. We're going to pour a bunch more water in it, and that water's just going to spill, right? So you have to, like, if you're a business owner that's like, hey, man, I really want to try this marketing thing, have your processes set up. Make sure that, like, maybe even get a mentor for, like, 3-4 months. Have your systems. Have your SOPs. Have everybody, like, your team knowing what they're going to do, because just running marketing isn't going to solve your problem. Right? And that's the biggest thing is, like, yes, money solves a lot of problems. Like, Mark Cuban, if you're not growing, you're dying. I totally agree with that. But also, if you're losing, and the big on the other side of the coin too, when you get to like 200 members, a good retention is 3 to 5%. So if you're losing 5-6 members a month, you have to market. Yeah. Because you have to replace those 5 to 6 members a month because it becomes a numbers game. So we have gyms with 400 members and they're losing 15 members a month. They have to market, right? So just know what side of the coin you're on when it comes to marketing. If you're not ready, there's no problem in that. Just fix the things that are wrong in your business before you start marketing. And on the opposite side, there's a lot of mentors and people out there like, you don't need marketing. How the heck are you going to get new people in your gym every single month if you're losing 15? You ain't getting fit. The worst business model in the world, and I will say this all the time, is counting on your members to sell your gym for you. Yeah. Like, then you don't have a business. You're counting on Joe and Susie to bring in new members every month. That's a horrible business model, right? So like making sure you have everything set up marketing wise to be successful.
Yeah.
And then, for heaven's sake, track your data. Because if you don't know your data, you don't know your numbers, right?
Yeah.
And you don't know your business.
Exactly. That's good stuff, man. Well, last question for you here. What legacy do you want to leave?
Ooh, man. I had to write my eulogy one time. That was really hard.
Oh, I bet.
You ever done that?
No. Something that would be a good
At your funeral?
good thing to practice.
Yeah, man. That was, and then you're supposed to read it every single day.
Oh.
I haven't read it every single day.
Okay.
I think for me is first and foremost just being God honoring and living a life that is fruitful, right?
Yeah.
And I think if I do that, that will pass on to my kids and leave a legacy by itself, right? Doing the things that every day, the small things to the big things, you know. Saw a neighbor the other day, needed help with furniture. Just going on my way, helping a neighbor. I think for me is just living a God-driven life that is going to pour over to all areas, whether it be business, whether it be personal, whether it be my kids and family, is just stewarding that well, and that will help steward my finances, that will help steward my business, that will help steward everything in my life. So I think, you know, that would be my legacy, is just that, like, he lived in an honorable way that, like, honored God. And a lot of, like, we all fail at many different things, right? Like, nobody's perfect. We're all sinners saved by grace, right? But at the end of the day, that people would look at my life and look back and they're like, yes, he's made mistakes, but at the end of the day, like, he loved people and he loved them well.
I think what's cool about that is that's God's legacy.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Well, I don't think any of us can live up to that.
No.
But if we even try, right, live in relationship with him, that would be huge.
No doubt. Well, Blake Ruff, thanks for coming on today.
For sure, man.
Been a great conversation.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Definitely.